Detours. Brought to you by Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation.
All right, Jake, so you were a part of the team that went back to back to back. You were there all three quads, starting in 16. So reflecting back on those three games, can you isolate one of the games that stood out a little bit more than the others?
Yeah, I think probably the gold medal game in Japan in Tokyo, because there was kind of a unique situation where there weren't a lot of fans in the stands because of COVID and stuff like that, and they were the home country, so it was kind of weird facing a team in their home country, not having any fans, and they pushed hard, and it was a very close game. But I remember that one being like, okay, this is kind of weird for a gold medal game, but it was still a really competitive game, though.
As a player, I want to get back to Paris a little bit later, but as a player, do you see that there's been a significant amount of change over those three quads? You went through 12 years. What have been some of the significant changes in the game?
Well, I think the biggest change is that in my first one in Rio, the world still thought you needed two bigs on the court and two low pointers, and you had to get your bigs inside and win that way. I think we changed that in 16 by running a bunch of mid-pointers, speeding up the game, having players that could do everything, and then I think it shifted the game that way, and not just at that level, but all levels below. So I think it really let every player know that, hey, you're valuable and we need you to do a lot of things, and you're not just picking for this one big guy, right? And we need you to hold defense. And I think it really got every single level from top to bottom a lot better. And so when you see in Paris, every team had a bunch of fast guys, a bunch of guys that could shoot, a bunch of guys that knew their role, that could play defense and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely the most significant change that I've seen for sure.
So with 14 points out on the floor, is there an optimum way to break down that point structure? Is it better to have a couple of 4.5s on the court, a mix of 4s, 4.5s, 2s? What's the best potential mix that you see?
I think it really depends on your personnel, but I think if you're facing a team with a class 1, if you can put a bunch of 2s and a 4 and maybe a 3 to not play a 1, you'll have a significant advantage over the other team that does have a 1, just based on disability, right? The problem is, there aren't a lot of, 2s on one team that can, play at that high of a level, right? Or 2, 5s, 3s, or whatever. But I think you definitely need speed at every position, and I think you definitely need at least one big, whether he's super big or just a tweener or super fast. You definitely need at least 1, 4, 5, or 4 on the court, I believe. Well,
you guys had a heck of a 4.5.
Yep.
Brian Bell,
yep.
Just a big man in the middle, so you always had a guy to feed to if worse came to worse. But you guys played a very well-rounded game in Paris.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Brian is an amazing player, and he can do a lot of things very well. So I think that's what really made us successful in Paris. We had a bunch of guys that could do a lot of things very well, so we weren't just only doing 1 or 2 things per game. We were able to go with the fluidity of the game, and for each of us to step up with whatever we needed.
So as a 2.5, you end up picking up the MVP.
Yep.
What was it, do you think, that you did that was so outstanding that your team recognized you on that level?
Well, I mean, I think I'm known for scoring and shooting and stuff, but then I looked at the stats. I think I led the tournament in steals too, and I think I was up there with rebounds. I really just kind of tried to do what my team needs me to do, to get in as many lineups as possible as I could, right? And so if I could fit into as many lineups as possible, that would let me get on the court more and hopefully be successful. And I definitely just had a really good tournament. And so I think the attention that I bring that other teams have to jump and recover to, I think that's probably what I'm most known for.
We'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Sports and Spokes Magazine. For nearly 50 years, they've produced stories on iconic athletes performing at the top of their game, given generational coverage of sports dating back to the 1970s, and they've shown the way with exciting and timeless magazine cover shots. To stay on top of all the latest news from the world of high-performance adaptive sports, go to sportsandspokes.com. Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation.
Though Rob Taylor was around in 2020, he took over the team in 2024. So what were some of the intricate things about how the team changed over that 4-year period? Or did he play a style and lead in a style that was very similar to Likens?
Well, I mean, I think basketball was pretty much the same, but I think the biggest difference was we had a few. It was a bit of a divide with maybe 5 or 6 older guys that were in Rio and on Paris, and then a lot of younger guys too that were there as well. And so there was definitely a gap with a lot of experience and the not a lot of experience, right? And so I think when Rob came in, he took a lot of those players, and so I know that was one of the main differences on the team itself. I think Rob was a lot more chill than Ron. I think Rob let a lot of us talk more in the huddle and kind of see what we needed to. But he also had the team with a lot of experience that could do that, though, too, where maybe Ron didn't.
Do you foresee a changeover in the team that may be going to LA in 2028, or will it be essentially the same nucleus?
I mean, every 4 years there's always a change, right? Some you expect, some you don't expect. So, I think you just kind of have to be ready for anything, right? And so you have to be ready whether you get picked or not, whether guys are there that you're comfortable with or not. Just you have to be ready for that next man up, because I've learned over the last 3 quads, there's stuff that you expect to happen, stuff you don't expect to happen, and you gotta be ready for all of that.
We're starting to see a few of the same teams internationally show up at the top over and over and over again. What are some of the countries and or teams you see coming up that could potentially pose as a challenge?
Well, GB is always good. Spain always gives us a good game. Netherlands plays us really tough, right? Japan plays us really tough, right? So I think it's just a matter of, with there being less teams at the Paralympics, at the Paralympics now, you have to qualify in some capacity at either a qualifier tournament or the repechage. So I think it's really about whatever team I think shows up every tournament, right? But Spain always plays us tough. GB always plays us tough. We are so used to getting everyone's best game that we just expect every team to play extremely well against us now.
You've been around for a while
Yep.
now. Greatest player you've ever seen, and why?
Greatest player I've ever seen in why? It's probably between either Trey, Steve, or Brian. Playing with those guys, I've seen them play over the last 12 years, and it's hard to pick out one out of those 3. But we've won multiple games because of each one of those guys in all kinds of different ways, though. So I think definitely one of those 3 for sure.
So that led me into best defender, and obviously Trey is right up there in the mix when we're talking defender.
Best defender, probably Matt, Scott, then Trey, Von Jennifer, and Brian Bell. Those are probably the 3 best defenders of all time, to be honest.
Most intense rivalry you've underseen after all the years you've been involved in playing ball?
Probably GB. Probably GB. They always give us a good game. They always talk a lot of smack, and so probably GB for sure.
So that was going to be my next question,
Yeah.
which was going to be, who are the trash-talking teams?
GB, Spain. Those are the 2 main ones. Everyone else, not too much, right? But definitely those 2 teams. A lot of the South American teams, I guess it's how those teams get themselves hyped up. And if you got to do that, that's cool. But definitely the GB and Spain at the top for sure.
Does it get pretty nasty out on the court? I mean, do they get pretty down and dirty about what they have to say?
I mean, I've heard some wild things. They usually don't say anything too bad, but I mean, it's a lot. I guess they trash talk in different ways, right? Spain is very forward with it. GB is kind of very, pretentious with it, for lack of a better term. Australia talks some smack too, but usually only when they're doing well. So I think it doesn't get too personal. Usually you only hear the personal stuff from the really teams that you're really that probably aren't at your level, right? So
it seems to me that the game is getting faster and
Yep.
faster.
Yep.
And I know, of course, a part of that is the technology.
Yep.
The chairs are getting better. The athlete is getting better. You're getting more fit. But are there some rule changes or any things that you see that are coming up in the future that you think will make the game faster and better? And are you a proponent of that?
I actually think the rules need to catch up with the speed of the game now. Like here in the NWBA, we still have a 30,
Where's it falling behind?
well, here in the NWBA, we still have a 30-second shot clock when everywhere else in the world is 24. I think we have the players now that we can play that faster speed of game. And, in college, everywhere in the NWBA, we still have 30-second shot clock, and that is forever nowadays. Everyone else in the world plays with a 24-second shot clock, 8 seconds to get over half. I think those kind of rules need to catch up to the level we have here in America, because I think the level here in America is very high. So I think that's the biggest thing I see, and I think that will make the level a lot better, because I think the players have caught up. Now I think the rules here, especially here in America, need to catch up to the level of the players too.
A couple of players that you might see on the fringe that didn't make the team to Paris who are coming in for maybe LA 2028.
That didn't make the team. Probably, I think Jorge Sanchez will have a good chance. I don't know if they were in the mix the first time, but I really like this guy, Keyshawn out of UTA. I think he's a good classification for him. And I think there's a few guys that didn't get a tryout that I think are going to come up too, but I think those two probably stick out to me a little bit. But I think with us having a great group of young guys in Paris, I think especially AJ, one of my guys, I think he's awesome. So I think he's going to be ready. But those two for sure stick out to me.
Well, hey, man, congrats on getting the MVP and another gold medal.
Appreciate it.
That's 3 in a row for
That's
you.
right, yeah.
You're getting kind of spoiled, aren't you?
I'm always spoiled, of course. I always tell people I'm God's favorite because I'm the most spoiled out of anyone here. So, hey.